And Matthew always starts each of those chapters with an Egyptian quote. And the one she has there for this chapter says, "Yesterday's drunkenness does not quench today's thirst," right? And the corollary that easily comes to mind for me is the Bible, the what we have in the Holy Book, the Bible, where it talks about sufficient for each day is its own trouble, right? I cannot eat enough today that I will not need to eat tomorrow, right? So if I'm going to enjoy money, I have to enjoy today, but not forget about tomorrow, right? I have to make provision for a continuity of enjoyment, right? It's not about enjoying today and starving tomorrow, right? It's continuity, right? It's what we call what's that word for it now? It's a continuity. That's a word for it, but it's not coming to me right now. But the key thing is the fact that our enjoying money needs to be such that it's life-giving, right? It's not life-depleting, right? It's sustainable. That's the word. It's sustainable. It has to be sustainable, right? It's not about eating all our wealth today and having nothing tomorrow. But for us to be truly financially empowered, we need to work towards having a continuity of enjoyment of money, right? Irrespective of what the society brings our way, right? Don't forget, society asks for us what we call opportunities and threats. Ours is to harness the opportunities and ensure ourselves, as it were, defend ourselves against the threat, right? So another corollary of the Egyptian proverb is a general one we say in financial investment sector. It's yesterday's accomplishment or yesterday's result does not guarantee future success. Because I was successful yesterday does not mean I'll be successful today or successful tomorrow. It's a continuous engagement, right? It's a continuous engagement of the society that keeps the continuity going. It's being able to respond adequately to the continuous changing environment, continuous change in financial sector, continuous change in government taxes, continuous changing of government policies, right? That's what keeps the continuity, right? So we don't rest on our laurels because we're successful yesterday, because the enemy today might just be different from the enemy yesterday, right? So it's a continuous process. So we'll go on to the next slide here. So obviously society, which is our environment, affects every aspect of our lives, right? We are the products of our society, as it were, right? We're the product of our society, right? That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is that our society is our product, right? I love the way Napoleon Hill will put it, right? That our environment, our society, as it were, is a merciless, right, reflection of who we are on the inside. We create our environment, we create our society, right? And that society for each of us is the one within our immediate vicinity, because our level of influence obviously is limited, right? But within the limitation of our influence, right, we create that environment. We decide where we want to be. We decide the things that the way we eat, as it were, affect our environment, right? Again, like I like to say all the time, Peter Drucker would say that the essence of any organism, right, is how it is outside of that organism, not within the organism. Everything that takes place within the organism is to affect its outside, its environment. Everything that takes place in the structure here is to affect my environment. It's what you are seeing. That's what you're seeing coming out. It's what is taking place on the inside here is what you are seeing spewing out right now to affect my environment, to affect my world, to affect my society, right? So there is a continuous interaction between each of us and our society, our environment, right? And really winning is when I determine the way the society affects me, right? Not that the society determines the way it affects me. I have to always be in the driver's seat. from our life. Each of us have to be in the driver's seat on our lives, because left to society, it wants to consume us, right? It wants to consume us. And if we allow the society to consume us, we become a failure, right? Life was not meant that way. Life was meant that each of us will impact our society for good, impact our society. We make the decision on what we want our society to be, and we'll go about impacting, changing, influencing our society, right? Our society, as it were, is living, but we are living also, right? But we're here not to be conquered. We're here to conquer, right? But that is the continuous interaction that takes place, then determines whether we're truly going to enjoy, right, our wealth or not, right? So there is a society wanting to affect us in the way we spend, right? And some of those when you talk about the way society affects us, we have different words for it, right? Different terms, different concepts, different names for the concept. One we call about mob mentality, when a group of people just thinking alike and going the same way, right? But typically, when you have things like that, there's no deep thinking. That's one thing that marks such things out. You just find everybody just holding on to the same way of thinking and just going like a mob. You know, when I was in college, I know some of those riots we did. There were those that were on the front line that had no clue why the riot was taking place. All they wanted was the excitement of rioting. You know, I typically talk about an experience I had one time. I was going back to school, and I had someone at the bus station, and he was sharing with his friend, and was saying the only reason he was going to this college, my college, was that those people do not take nonsense, that they riot. He wanted to be a part of the riot. So you can imagine that such a person will easily be carried away by the mob mentality, right? He just wants to belong without thinking about what the ideology is, or just wanting to belong, you know. And a lot of people get carried away by such streams, you know, and they miss life at the end of the day, because it's typically a mob mentality would not grow you, right? Because it's not about you. It's about some other person's ideology or interest that is being fulfilled, right? We also have a word for what we call the ed mentality, the pack mentality, and we talk about groupthink or crowd psychology, right? We talk about following the Joneses also, and and probably other names for it, right? But that is one of the things society wants to do to us. It wants to capture us to be in a mob, not thinking about our individuality, right? Another thing popularly I hear from Napoleon Hill talk about, it's that mentality where that's called the follow the followers game, right? It's just the same kind of concept where people are just following other people who have no clue why they are following, right? And yes, then their life ain't going to be better because they're just doing things because they see every other person doing it. You know, they have no plan, no goal, no vision. You know, they're just marking time. You know, you're not going to succeed that way if that's the way you relate to the society, right?